The records of the Galactic Council are vast, chronicling the rise and fall of countless civilizations across millions of worlds. When their probes first returned from the Sol system, the entry for its third planet was brief, almost dismissive. The species, designated humanity, was classified as a level 0.7 civilization, still bound to its home world, hopelessly divided, and squandering its resources on internal conflicts. The consensus was unanimous. They were interesting, but ultimately insignificant. A footnote in the grand cosmic story. The Council moved on to more pressing matters, quelling stellar flares, mediating trade disputes between silicon-based life forms, and charting the expansion of the Void Kraken. For centuries, Earth was forgotten, a dusty file in a forgotten archive. Then, a junior archivist, tasked with a routine system update, stumbled upon the old file. Curiosity piqued, she ran a fresh scan. The results that came back sent ripples of shock through the entire council chamber. Humanity hadn't just survived, they had exploded. Their technological advancement curve was unlike anything the council had ever witnessed. It was erratic, chaotic, and breathtakingly steep. They had gone from primitive rocketry to mastering interplanetary travel in less than 3 of their centuries. They had harnessed the atom, not just for destruction as the council had predicted, but for creation, powering entire continents. They had connected their entire species through an invisible web of information, sharing knowledge at the speed of light. The council dispatched a new series of deep space observers, this time with a mandate to watch and to learn. The reports that came back painted a picture of a species that was a walking paradox. They were capable of immense cruelty, yet demonstrated profound empathy. They destroyed their own environment with one hand while desperately trying to heal it with the other. They were individualistic to a fault, yet could unite with a ferocity that could move mountains or, in this case, asteroids. One report detailed a near cataclysmic event. A rogue asteroid, large enough to cause an extinction-level impact, was on a collision course with Earth. The Council watched, morbidly fascinated. By their calculations, the humans had less than a decade to prepare. For any other level 0 civilization, this would have been the end. But not for humanity. What the Council witnessed was not panic, but a symphony of coordinated chaos. Nations that were on the brink of war just months earlier pooled their resources. Scientists who had been rivals shared every scrap of data. Billionaires funded impossible projects overnight. A global effort, unprecedented in its scale and ambition, was launched. They didn't just build one solution. They built a dozen, launching a flotilla of interceptors, kinetic impactors, and gravity tractors. They threw everything they had at the problem, a brute force approach that was as inefficient as it was undeniably effective. The asteroid was deflected. The world was saved. The Council Elder, a being whose lifespan had witnessed the birth of stars, reviewed the data. "They're not logical," he murmured, his voice echoing in the silent chamber. "Their progress isn't linear. It's born from crisis. They don't evolve. They erupt." Another observer sent back a report on human art. The Council had seen art from a million worlds, but this was different. It wasn't just about beauty or representing reality. It was raw, emotional, and deeply personal. They created music that could evoke joy and sorrow in the same breath. They wrote stories of heroes and villains, of love and loss, stories that explored the very essence of their contradictory nature. They built structures not just for function, but to inspire awe. Their creativity wasn't a byproduct of their existence. It seemed to be the entire point of it. Then came the reports on their medical advancements. They had eradicated diseases that had plagued them for millennia. They were on the verge of decoding their own genetic blueprint, not just to cure, but to enhance. They were beginning to push back against the one fundamental law the Council held sacred, the finality of a natural lifespan. Their relentless drive to survive, to extend their existence by even one more day, was something the Council, in all its ancient wisdom, found both terrifying and strangely admirable. The most baffling discovery, however, was humanity's concept of hope. It wasn't a logical variable. It couldn't be quantified or predicted. Yet, it was the fuel for their impossible achievements. They hoped for a better future, even when their present was bleak. They hoped for peace, even while waging war. They hoped for discovery, even when staring into the vast, empty darkness of space. It was an irrational, illogical, and utterly unstoppable force. A debate raged within the council. Some argued that humanity was a threat, a chaotic variable that could destabilize the galaxy. Their rapid, unpredictable expansion was a danger to the established order. They pointed to humanity's history of conflict as proof of their inherent self-destructive nature. Give them starships, one member argued, and they will turn the galaxy into their own personal battlefield. But others saw something else. They saw a species with a unique spark, a fire that had been extinguished in many of the older, more enlightened races. They saw potential not for destruction, but for renewal. They are chaotic, countered the junior archivist who had rediscovered them. But their chaos is creative. Their conflicts force them to innovate. Their pain fuels their art. They are not a plague. They are a catalyst. The final turning point came from a simple, intercepted transmission. It wasn't a military order or a scientific breakthrough. It was a message from a human parent to their child, who was about to embark on their first journey to a new colony on Mars. The message was filled with advice, with warnings, with love. But it ended with a simple phrase: be brave, be kind, and look up at the stars and dream. Dream, that was the key. While the council calculated and planned, humanity dreamed. They dreamed of what was over the next hill, beyond the next star, at the very edge of the universe. Their entire existence was a testament to the power of a dream. The council elder stood and rendered his final judgment. The file on humanity was brought forth. He took the old classification, level 0.7, insignificant, and deleted it. In its place, he entered a new designation, one that had never been used before. The entry was simple, containing just 2 words: unlimited potential. The council fell silent, the weight of that statement hanging in the air. They were ancient, powerful, and wise. But for the first time in a million years, they felt a sense of apprehension mixed with awe. They had misjudged the noisy, chaotic, and fragile creatures from the third planet of a forgotten star. Humanity was coming, and they were about to change everything. The universe would never be the same again. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this cosmic tale, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more stories from the great beyond.